Dogs of Warcry is a podcast from the Mortal Realms focusing on Warcry, a fast-paced cinematic skirmish game by Games Workshop. You can expect discussions on gameplay, rules, homebrew, lore, painting, terrain, narrative gaming, leagues, and events. Welcome to Dogs of Warcry. This episode, we're going to be discussing a mission pack put together by a very big Warcry fan, Cody, right here. And as usual, we'll be talking about hobby progress and any games that we've had. My name is Josh, and of course, joining me in the episode today is Mike and our special guest, Cody. How are you guys doing?
What's up?
I'm doing great.
Doing great. Awesome. No, looking forward to this. I kind of read through the pack today and checking out all the missions and stuff, so it'll be kind of cool to get your perspective on why you put it together.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. It's already had more response than I thought I was going to get on it, which is really cool.
Just so you know, Cody, just in advance, I don't want you to be surprised when we get to it. This is mostly going to be an airing of grievances for me. I just want to rip it apart. No, I'm excited.
I noticed there weren't some images in this spot.
Right. A couple of pixels looked a little weird. So.
Oh, no, I was impressed with the layout, actually. Yeah, we'll get there. Well, let's kick it off with the Forge of Mithraxis. All right, Mike, what hobby progress have you been up to since our last recording?
I've been butterflying at a time when I need to be locking in. So we're still doing a lot of stuff for Mortal Realms Con, getting prepped, doing some less modeling for that. I've been working on some of our more story driven aspects and like prep for like the actual events and things like that we're going to be doing. So spending a lot of time on that. Been doing lots of meetings. I think we've met the last like 2 weeks, the group of us that are working on it, and we're meeting again tomorrow. So we're going to go to the venue to find out if it exists or if Joe accidentally gave up couple $100 for a deposit to a fake place. So
how big is this place really? Let's find out.
But I've been doing the new Kill Team set released, and ever since they announced it, I saw like that terrain. I was like, man, that stuff looks really good for Warcry, really fun. So I got a couple of sets of that, and they arrived, and I looked at them, and I was like, these are significantly smaller platforms than I was hoping they would be.
Oh no!
Like I saw them, and I was like, they're got to be like personal pizza size, right? No, like I was expecting like 4 or 5 inches on the big one. They are super tiny. Let's see what I got here. I got this is a 32 mil base, and that's how much space. So like way smaller than I expected, and but they're still cool, and I think they'll still be able to work for stuff. I just need maybe a couple more of them than I was originally planning for. But no, that's fun building that terrain and trying to figure out if I want to. I'm debating between full on Nurglifying it or going. I've been trying to figure out how to do a Silent Ones warband, and actually think some of this stuff might be really cool to lean into that buggy side from Greer for those guys. So haven't fully committed yet, but yeah, messing with those. And then I also have I have like random like chaos stuff that I use for boards, and I bought a Noctilith crown from 40K quite a while ago because I was like, this looks cool, and I've been working on trying to figure out a way to like rotate the donut flat so that you can actually like play on it and stuff like that. And I think it's gonna work. I just gotta figure out connection points and all that kind of stuff. Maybe magnetize it because it's gonna take up a ton of space if I don't. It's very labor or space intensive, but yeah, like I said, nothing that's been towards the goals that I need to. Actually, I take that back. Sorry, no. I was supposed to do a game night on Friday night with some friends, and thunderstorms canceled it. So I carved up one model for my warband for the event in August. I managed to do a little actual progress on that. So, how about you, Cody? What you been hammering away at?
I've pretty similarly kind of been butterflying around. Mike, you're going to recognize a handful of these models.
It's almost like we talk outside of the podcast.
Well, I'm working on my monster killers a little bit. I did buy these ones from Mike. I have the monkeys painted.
Eventually.
And then Mike very nicely picked up some Hunters of Huanchi for me. I was talking about, I bought a used Slan at the source, and it was like beautifully painted. So I wanted to make a list with Hunters of Huanchi Aslan and the Scarvet on Agrodon. So kit bashed a couple new
oh, the helmet's awesome.
claws, with the skull kit. And then working on the Terror Wings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, nice.
So they're almost done. They need basing and stuff, but then I've got the whole unpainted Agrodon go. So Mike picked those models up for me. And
it's
then
most of
in August.
Joe kicked me aside and said, "I don't need you to track my inventory anymore, so now I do it for Cody instead."
right. And then I split a box with Mike, and I got Morgoth. So I think I'm gonna run.
I forgot about that one. I did forget about it. Yeah, we did do that. I do have
a single model I'm working on that has never touched Mike's hands.
I almost gave you those, though. Actually, I remember you asked me about those. I almost said, "Yeah."
I think I did. Yeah. So
that's fun.
Kind of bouncing around.
Destruction.
The destruction is going to be for or the Morgoth and the Crusher. I think I'm going to run in August. Monster Kills have kind of just been on the back burner for a while, and then I've been distracted working on the Hunters of Huanchi.
That's awesome. That'll be a lot of fun to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I played a little bit. I played one game with the Hunters. I didn't play the Agrodon because he's not painted yet. And then I just got in some test games with our buddy Darren with about 2/3 of my warband unpainted.
Who cares if it's painted or not? It's about models on the table. The rules got nothing to do with, if the model's slightly green, you get +1 to your... Nope, nothing. All about
camouflage, right? Yeah.
I was joking about building an all gray board so I could leave my chameleons unpainted as camouflage skinks.
Right.
Back when I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, Dan Salty Seed did the painting competition where him and oh my
Darcy.
goodness, what's her name? Yeah, Darcy. What's her channel name? Shout out to her. She's obviously
Darcy Bono.
Yeah, Darcy Bono.
Yep.
They did like the collaboration and everybody could submit stuff. And I didn't paint anything for it, but I sent in 2 joke submissions. One of them was warband from the perspective of the warband that they just were killed by, and it was just the underside of a bunch of bases, but so you couldn't see any model on it. The other one, though, I just took like a picture of these trees and stuff near my house, and I was like painted some really nice camouflage Hunters of Huanchi. I think they blend in really well. That was fun.
Skills.
Yeah. What you been doing, Josh?
Much as you, kind of working on some narratives for the Mortal Realms Con, trying to still nail down exactly what I want to do for the multiplayer mission or the game. So, still juggling some ideas, but like you said, I need to hammer that down pretty soon. I got a lot of terrain and stuff if I'm going to do what I think I want to do. But I did.
Okay, once we get inside,
over a year ago now. Yeah. Over a year ago now, I did a Kickstarter with Mindwork Games. It got some Mindwork heavy body acrylics. So those finally arrived this past weekend. So I'm excited about those. They're supposed to kind of act and feel like oils, but they're acrylics. So I have like the best properties of both worlds, but I'll probably need to do quite a bit of practicing to get the feel for how they kind of flow and layer and everything else. But excited they finally arrived. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super. You said they're called Mindworks?
Yep, they're Mindwork heavy body acrylics. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, it was a Brahm, the artist. I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of his artwork or not, but he worked with them to develop the paints and also expanded a range of different models. A lot of his models were made and sculpted by Mindworks to sell, and this is part of that. So I got a T-shirt and a bunch of artwork on postcards and bookmarks and stuff like that too. So it was a lot of fun. I was like, all right, put that stuff up, use it for inspiration, all that kinds of good stuff. Go along with my art books.
You gotta do justice to those art books, right? You can't have it just be, something like I would paint, for example. You gotta make it pretty.
I'm not saying I paint like that either, but it's nice to kind of get a book once in a while and go, how do they get these tones and these colors? What kind of combinations, really, Especially when I'm struggling with the color scheme, it helps to kind of look at pictures and like, okay, yeah, they got the same colors together that I'm thinking of. This is how they did it. Okay, all right, it looks fine. I can do that. So
yeah, I've got all the pieces. Why don't I have the same?
Why doesn't it look the same? Okay.
Draw the rest of the owl, right? That's
skill,
right?
Well, let's talk about our most recent paths to glory. All the war bands we've been messing around with, games we've played, mischief we've gotten into while standing next to a 30 by 22 Warcry board. I'll go first. I've been standing over people watching them play a couple of weeks in a row now. Showed up a little late and also just kind of was like, I'm tired today. I don't feel like it. So watch some great games, man on man. If you're feeling like you're in the Madison area and want to come check out the games, Mox Mania, great place to stand around and talk for an hour and a half with no games happening on after it's all done. So we have a good time. Nobody else in there. And they're like, hey, we could close early if you're not here. And we're yucking it up in the back. So.
Carnage to be had.
Right. Cody, you haven't played games in a while either, right?
I've actually, I just played 2 games today. I may have been, 15 minutes late to start this. We can blame Darren for that one. Yeah, I got in some practice games for the August event with our buddy Darren, trying out a couple different versions of our lists. So I was playing Cruel Boys with Morgok, Ardskull, and a Crusher. Really fun list. A little bit less leaning into like super skewed Titans and a little bit more tricks and abilities from the Iron Jaws, which is really fun to play. It's nice to play Cruel Boys and have things to do with your dice instead of just Bolt Boy every turn. Yeah, it was a cool list. I got in 2 games playing some of the missions from the pack Dan put together. They're really cool. He plays around with the deployments a lot in this. Kind of like trying to tell a story of you're moving across the board. You're all deploying on the bottom half. The objectives are on the top half. You're kind of racing there and fighting each other. It was really cool. And then a couple weeks ago, I did get to play 2 games with my hunters. We've had a couple of new players recently. I've not been playing a lot of games recently, but we had a couple of new players and got in a couple 3-player games with my hunters of Huanchi. And they're fun. They're very different from what I normally play. Playing a lot of smalls and talls, chaos and destruction lists, and then switching to
not enough goat heads to satisfy.
Right. Yeah. I do have 1 claw of Huanchi with a gore skull. So
wow, you
acknowledged
their mortality, that they can die. Those basic
It will eventually happen, but they're still here in spirit.
That's awesome.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think I got in. I missed last week because I had to pick up my computer. It was been having issues. But the week before, I ended up playing a game with Eric and against his new Gits and Troll, I think it was. So, but yeah, pretty good matchup. Walked away with some victory points, but nothing too unbalancing. I think I did it was an odd mission because I don't think we killed anybody. Nobody killed each other. Oh, that was Zach. Yeah, where nobody had killed each other, and then he went and played you. I think it was. So.
Oh yeah, then the boards got wiped.
Yeah. Just due to the mission, I ended up winning in 2 turns. I had bottles on objectives that he didn't. So it was pretty wacky. But yeah.
Classic card-driven Warcry, right?
Right. But if I hadn't played smart either. Well, I got lucky too. He couldn't take down a couple models that he needed to just to claim that objective.
That's not luck. That is the stoic and resilient nature of your warband. That is just they're true heroes, and they should be treated as such.
Right, exactly. And we respected those Seraphon and said, "Nope, this is ours." Okay, we're on. Oh, we're out. So yeah, not anything too crazy, but it was good. It was fun games. This next week should be fun too. I got more and more with the map-based campaign we're playing. I've got 1,200 points to play with now, so I can hire a couple additional models to join the table and warband. So it'd be fun.
Yeah, we're
map
definitely.
Is, of course. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, with some of the territories letting you take models that you don't normally get to take. I'm playing Dark Oath Savagers, and I've got a Fire Slayer, in the warband, and I'm going to probably win another one. So it should be fun combinations.
I discovered last week, Josh, that we're playing the same warband with the same leader, with the same heroic trait and everything like that. And then I discovered when I showed up and was talking to the other guys that were there. I also am playing Dark Oath and decided to bring a couple of Fire Slayers. Had no idea that you were doing it, but was it Vulcan Flameseekers?
Yeah. I brought one Vulcan Flameseeker. Yep.
I got
just a grunt with the big axe. Yeah. But
is this your all wizard warband, Mike?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Not it's slightly fewer wizards now on account of that build being pretty terrible and a lot less fun than I'd hoped it would be. It's a
Yeah.
lot of wizard stabbing up close,
Yeah.
which turns out they're relatively efficient at. But yeah, the goof became pretty old in a hurry. 3 games, I was like, I think I'm done with this. So
right. Just all the flinging spells.
yeah, and people keep charging into me. It's like, stand in a nice circle and let me blow you up. What's the deal?
Why are you hiding? Why are you
Yeah,
hiding?
it's really, really unsporting, to be honest. But yeah, no. I also was like looking at those guys. I was like, all right, some melee might be nice, something a little wacky, and a
Right.
good excuse to. Yeah,
And they got range too.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's
They
just
can
it's
throw
cool.
axes. Yeah,
It's cool to see like everybody's warbands developing with that like cool factionist or being able to step outside your normal Grand Alliance to ally stuff in and just like
is that something from a Games Workshop pack, or is that like a homebrew thing you guys are doing?
Nope. It's just my homebrew map based campaign.
Yeah.
I've got some locations, and once you can explore the map, you explore one location each turn, and then it has a benefit. For example, one of them allows you to roll d6 to attack one model on the table. Another one might allow you to you can it's a mine that you can boost either 1 point of strength, 1 point of toughness, or a range for a weapon for one of your models for that game.
Josh and I are both
you're exploring during the game.
What's that?
No, it's after. It's after.
Okay, it's like the phase.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right,
Exactly.
but you get to use that benefit in your game while you're at that location, and then if you earn victory points or glory while you're playing games, you can spend glory to dominate it, get 50 extra points to your warband, and permanently have that effect for the rest of the campaign.
Wow!
So you get to do it for 2 locations, and but it allows you to have 3 different territory benefits essentially as you go through for the rest of the campaign.
So. Also, based on wherever you are, like there's a type of unit associated with it. So like some have thralls, some have for the place that Josh and I both are, it lets you get Duard, and so we're like, all right, cool. And it was fun like looking through like just the whole compendium and everything in the game, and just going like, what other weirdos could come and party with us today? And I was like, just especially for dwarves too, right? There's a dwarf Spire Tyrants. There's one in Iron Golems, and I was like, do I want those little buggers? Or no, we landed on the Dwarves of Fire. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think Eric he's got the Isle of Wights dominated. He's going to bring some sort of death model in his Dark Oath warband, so that'll be fun too. Yeah, so
he's got the different Dark Oath though, Cody. Don't worry, Josh. And
he's got the generic Dark Oath. We've got Savagers. Yeah,
very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the name of Dark Oath, the more relevant.
There's a lot of chaos in this particular league.
There's in more ways than one.
right.
Right. Well, we've also been getting our spectacles out and taking a look, having some visions of madness, seeing the crazy stuff going on. Couple of things. I'll hop in on one because I know Cody's been in and around it as well. But in the Big Cry Warhammer Warcry community on Discord, there's been kind of a grassroots movement to start putting together kind of a community update. Just we're kind of getting tired of waiting for GW to do any FAQs and stuff like that. So we're like, you know what? Let's just to kind of get a little bit of a fresh approach to particularly the more competitive side of it, where it's just like, all right, we know it's good. We know how that stuff could be applied. Let's try to change it up so people can build a little bit differently. And then I think long term, looking at some of the lower end war bands as well, definitely trying to get them to be a little more playable. So you put them on the table, and you're like, oh, there's some competitive, not even competitive, just like they can fight for once instead of just getting wiped. So Cody, anything to add on that one?
It's just a really cool project. I think anything that gets people interested and excited about Warcry right now is really cool. I think the plan, because Dan Salty C is kind of the one putting the actual points together based on community notes and feedback. I think the plan is they're going to run it in the Tabletop Simulator League first and kind of get a feel for it. So, which is open to anyone who wants to get in on that. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Play test it, stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, when you're making significant changes, it's a good idea to see what impact they have, right?
Right.
So, if you're interested, check it out. I don't know exactly when it's supposed to be kicking off. Hopefully by the time this is out, it hasn't officially started yet, and so you can get back in. So the other exciting thing, I think it will have happened by the time this has occurred, but we're all
Right.
anxiously waiting the next reveal. A whole bunch of juicy goodness looking like it's on the slides for that No Warcry, but we just steal things from other games anyway, so we'll
Yep,
be okay.
yep.
But there was heavy insinuation of the old Chaos Dwarf. This is going to age poorly. They're like, what are you talking about Chaos Dwarves, Mike? What do you mean? I can't believe what a bad take that was, you dumb idiot. But yeah, it sounds like they're coming. So when you're seeing this, yeah, wow, what great models, by the
They
way. I
should be
can't
out.
believe.
Yeah.
What
Wasn't
a cool.
somebody shared, like in the White Dwarf, there was a name for them, right? The Hellsmiths of Hashut?
Yeah,
something like
Hellsmiths.
that,
That's it.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, horns.
So yeah, no, excited. I've been predicting them for the last 3 years. At our Christmas Park Spectacular.
Blind squirrel over here.
I predicted it. If they come out, yes, finally.
Blind squirrel finds a hashut every now and then. I don't know.
Right.
He's right once an edition.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm genuinely curious though to see if the horns of Hashut do get an upcycle into there, or I mean, from so many of what we've seen in the spearhead boxes, a lot of Warcry units have been showing up in those, and
Right.
so it's weird though because they did say like they were no longer going to produce them, like they were in that, hey, we're not, like for AOS proper too, like not for the Warcry side of it
Right.
because they didn't really speak to that, but they're like, hey, this is no longer going to be printed. So I'm curious if it's just getting kind of like rebranded in some capacity, because it's like, why would you, like, they're the newest models that got like axed from all of those groups. It's like, dude, like you're releasing the faction, they're the newest things that exist, what's going on here? So
Right.
I've already got a couple of boxes of them, so it's okay for me. I don't, whatever, who cares? But no, there's supposed to be another Underworlds warband. Which, oh yeah, what did you guys think of that? Didn't it look great? The new one that came out they announced on the 18th of July.
Waiting.
You guys get any predictions, any factions, or anything like that
for Underworlds?
Mm-hmm. We'll know by the time this comes. We'll know the answer.
Yeah, probably more Soulblight is my guess.
Seems like it's a Soulblight Gloomspite collaboration for the two most popular, and Stormcast somehow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, would they? I guess yeah. They probably wouldn't reveal anything. It wouldn't have any Chaos Warden Underworlds warband until the faction's officially out. That would be kind of cool if they like had a dual release kind of thing. But
that's actually. That's my guess. I think that's a White Fang rumor, actually, now that we're talking about it, and I'm cheating knowing what the rumors were.
But, I didn't know there were rumors.
Yeah. The White Fang had said that the Crethusa, that warband for Underworlds was getting dropped, and then I'm pretty sure that Chaos Dwarves was another one. I can't remember if they said if it was supposed to be. This is not interesting. Anybody watching this knows what happened, so we don't have to speculate on it. But yeah, we'll see
whether we're predicting well or not.
Again, yeah, what idiot, or wow, those guys were ahead of their time. Any other stuff that you've been like seeing in the community, people doing or anything like that you want to shout out? I always like just anything that I've seen people getting up to. I know there was an event this weekend in the UK that got run. I'm trying to think if there was any. I know they tried to stream it too. It was a bummer. It didn't quite work out. I tried to hop on there and it was very underwatery from the microphone. I was like, bummer. But I could hear the intonations of a Warcry game, and a couple of times I was like, oh.
I think there were two events this weekend, right? Wasn't there the other one we had talked about that Trolls was in? I'm not sure where.
That was last week in Denmark, I think.
Last week? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. They had a pretty smashy pack over there.
Yeah.
That seemed like Trolls was one of my comrades when I used to play and run TTS League all the time, because I was just like, all right, I'm going to play a small warband, get in, get out, have quick games. And he was also like, yeah, let's smash. Let's get, let's try to get the model count under 7 whenever possible. So there was the wildest list we saw was like this like Kharadron Overlords list that was like 4 balloons, basically. I think,
Right.
right, Cody,
Yep.
something
It
like
was a
that.
Stormcast ally.
I played that list. I played
Did
that list. 4 balloons, and then there's actually one guy in foot because that's just how the points worked out. But
Yeah, that's this one it was a little different though. They did balloon animals into a Stormcast for one of them.
Yeah, it was like a 300-point Lord Arcana on mount or whatever. Yeah, and then
Legend.
a bunch
Oh,
of
boy.
balloons. Yeah,
Legend.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
that's
it
different.
was a cool
Yeah.
list.
They get wacky. They do. Trolls does some really fun stuff. Trolls is the one that runs War Tally. Also, Legend, great guy.
Yep. Yeah. That's
mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, incredible tool for us. But yeah, he's always fun to see, and just their community does some really, really fun stuff. Always entertaining to read what they've been up to.
Excellent. All right. Well, with that, move on to our Circle of Paint challenge. And we were, I don't know if you've been aware or not, Cody, but our challenge for the 3 of us has been to develop a Ravage Coast model of some sort, a hero model. So that's we'll see if Mike's got any progress there. He's hydrating. We'll find out.
I got let's not label it. I don't feel the need to, I can't work with those kind of restrictions. So I'm not going to call it progress. Yeah. I don't want to say it's progress. I don't want to say it's not progress, especially because that would just feel negative and like it's, like I'm not doing anything. But my Ardbori Iron Jaws, the rest of them arrived for the warband around my my individual model that I'm looking forward to finishing for this challenge for my mega boss. So I guess technically like the frame arrived, right? That's the framing for the model.
That's fair. Yeah.
I built one model and not a head for it because I got maybe a sneaky plan for some fun shark related head stuff. So
Okay.
So yeah,
I
built most of an Ardboy for my paint challenge.
That's okay. I haven't started building yet.
If you need 20 more Ardboys, let me know.
Fun fact, this is mostly a podcast recounting all of the things that I've bought and given Cody at some point in time. Right before they announced the Iron Jaws stuff, a while ago, I found like a good deal on 2 Iron Jaws Start Collecting boxes, and I was like, it's literally the price of one. I'm just gonna get it, and then I'll just break down one of them, and everybody gets a deal on it. I was selling them super cheap, but I needed some of them, wanted some of the stuff from it, and then I was like, all right, I got too many hard boys. I'm never gonna use these, and I was like, hey Cody, you want a great deal on some hard boys? And he's like, sure. And then it was like a month later, they're like, sick new hard boy sculpts. Check these out.
Yep, I still like the old ones. I painted up the War Chanter, and I was gonna play that at Madcry, but then my son decided to be born, and I didn't get to go to Madcry.
Man, outrageous how selfish babies are, right? They're just so they don't get it. They don't get it. No, that was nice. I got
the 20 Ardboys.
I got to buy low and sell high on those Ardboys. It was perfect time. It was like day trading.
Raking them over the coals? Is that what you said? Making a profit on your friends?
No. It was. I broke it down for the same price that it would for anybody else, except $10 more because it was Cody.
And then I paid you 8 months after you gave them to me.
Yeah, that's our usual agreement.
Yeah, around the time I'm ready to ask for more stuff, I'll pay you for the last one.
Yeah. So
keep it coming.
If you're ever selling anything to Cody, get the money up front. It's
nice.
He keeps trying to pay me in Deutschmarks, which I don't think exist anymore. He's got all these antiquated currencies. The
Monopoly money.
Where did you get the balloons from, Cody?
That's a good barter system.
Yeah, it's not barter. It's Cody takes it, and then I go, hey, any chance? So, Josh, no progress?
I made a little bit of progress.
Okay.
I didn't assemble any models, but what I did find, I was browsing some models for corvids, crows, ravens. So Cody, if you're not familiar, I was planning to do a death-themed Morta warband. So with using the
Corvus Cabal.
Yeah, thank you. Corvus Cabal is the models, and so I was trying to wrap my head around, well, how do I make these models, look like, skeletons? Why do they have a 3-inch move or whatever else? So I found a somebody who had printed off a whole bunch of like little ravens. And so what I'm going to do, if you guys are familiar with the movie The Crow back in the 90s, whatever, the crow kind of carries the spirit of the guy after he's passed on, right? So what I'm going to do is each person that's a skeleton or whatever is going to have a crow representing their soul. And that's why they're reanimated, and they're moving around still, because the crow is associated with them and preserving their soul for the time being through Morna. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool touch.
Very cool.
So I got those. They look like they're going to work great, but now I need to start assembling my captain.
Buy stuff and put it in a pile. That's the best part of the hobby.
I've got a pile over here.
Yeah, get bigger pile. What could be better than making that pile one item larger?
The shame.
That does remind me of I'm a big fan of Malazan Book of the Fallen, and there's a lot of crow spirit related stuff in that too. That's kind of neat. So yeah, that's cool. Interesting. I wonder which came first, because it seems unlikely that those two things could exist completely independent of each other. And I suspect that probably the movie that had a little more mainstream access maybe have been the one that kind of tipped the scales.
Right, maybe, or it could be Edgar Allan Poe. It could be, there's all sorts of death and raven associations, even with Shakespeare. So it's been around for a while.
No doubt.
All right. Well, now we get to move on to our victory condition, and we get to hear all about this mission pack from Cody. Excellent. All right. So I did, look through it. Lots of fun missions and stuff in there. So I guess the main thing is, why'd you do it, Cody? What motivated you to?
Why did you do it? What were you thinking?
I did it the same reason I do most things in Warcry, which is try to be better than Dan at something. The original Salty Pack he put out, I think, early 2nd edition. That was right around the time I started playing with this local group. I'm local to Twin Cities. I play with Dan and his group very often. I just thought there was like some really fun missions in there, and you kind of get burned out playing the core book missions. This is back before we even had Ferocious Gnarlwood. So yeah, started with I made 6 missions that I used for a couple of events and leagues around here, and then just over time tried to expand on that. The original goal was trying to make missions a little bit kind of in between, split the difference between these like finely tuned missions that Dan does and the kind of oversimplified core book missions. That is something that I do think over time I maybe got a little lost in the sauce, and these are not all simple, easy to set up fun missions. Easy to get carried away when you're making these things. But I got to 12 missions that I'm pretty happy with. I think all of them have been used in at least one event around here at one point. Some of them are from the original 6. I added some and changed some over time. And yeah, it's just a fun hobby. This goes back to Halo 3 map maker, getting really involved in all that stuff. That's really where this all started. Probably goes back to D&D, I guess, if you think about it.
Do you wear the Master Chief helmet while you're working on missions, while you're typing them up?
I do, yeah. I've got my my Halo Reach limited edition Xbox. I just stare at it for inspiration. Yeah.
Just this the whole time.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. Got a good balance of the deployment zones. You got, since of course there's 3 different deployment zones. You got 4 with the hammers comes on second, 4 for the shield comes on second, before where the dagger comes on second. So I was like, oh great, evenly balanced there. That was nice.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal, is you can grab these individually, or that there's 12 missions here that can work together if you're throwing together a tournament, and you need 3 to 5 missions. That there's everything here to make a hopefully balanced pack. Yeah. A little bit up to you to choose the missions and make it balanced. Yeah.
Right.
Not 100% foolproof. Yeah.
And that's, with deployment specifically too, like I feel like when you're putting out a pack like this, like it's fine to just switch deployments. If you like 3 missions because you like the mission, but you're like, oh no, it's the exact same hammer, dagger, shield deployment rounds and stuff like that, you just change the logo. You just go, actually hammers and
yeah, and that's something that like if anyone wants to use these missions, I encourage you to do stuff like that. If you don't think you're like it's too treasure heavy or something, change the mission, change the deployments, do whatever you need to do to make these work for you. That's where some of these missions come from, is looking at, say, either a Games Workshop mission and saying I could do that better, or one of Dan's missions and saying I would have done something a little different here. And it's like one of the cool things about Warcry is Mike and I have talked about this, like how little you can change a mission, or a deployment even, to completely change that mission. Moving 2 deployment zones 1 inch closer together can like massively impact how one warband's going to do compared to another. Yeah, missions
It's
feel different if you
crazy.
start in crossbow range,
Yeah.
Right,
Or
right.
melee, like a 2-inch
Yeah,
sword
yeah.
or melee.
Everybody moves 3 inches further,
Yep.
right? And
Cody,
I
do you have
noticed there was
any?
a.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say I noticed there was a narrative theme, like the little blurb that you got for the missions there. So, how'd you come up with that? What was your thinking there?
Yeah, I mean that's something I think is probably like my weakest part of the pack, but that's something I got a lot of encouragement from just the people we run this by. Our buddy Darren is huge into the narrative side of things. I think our friend Chris had mentioned as well. Dr. Jekyll, just that it's very easy for these missions to become so abstracted that you're fighting over an objective and it's just this space on the board that means nothing, and trying to just give people something to latch onto. Like, what am I fighting for here? What am I doing? So I
Mm-hmm.
tried to go back. Though, honestly, for most of those, this was an afterthought. It was I made the mission and then tried to feel like, what are you doing here? Why do you care about this treasure so much?
The chicken or the egg, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that all
yeah.
works.
So it's a little light. It's something I'd like to keep expanding on. But I also think it's a cool thing. It's I think if people read the pack for the first time, that can be something you latch onto. Of like, looking at where the hammer spawns isn't all that interesting, but saying, I do want to play a mission where my Dark Oath are trying to conquer these buildings before the enemy can, kind of gives you something to think about and put your warband in that space.
And I think you can naturally, I think when you're putting packs together, there's a story that can form just like as you're reading it and you're like, all right, the first mission is like, I mean, that's kind of like what I do for Mad Cry, right? Like that's how I tie the missions together. I go, all right, the first mission is going to be an objective mission. And then the second one's going to be treasure. So what does that mean? All right, we're at a point where we're extracting some treasure in some capacity. And then in this next mission, you're defending it essentially. Right. And so I think as you read through and you have those little blurbs, it just makes it easy to like tie those together if you ever need to. And it doesn't even have to be for like an event, right? It's just like, hey, me and my buddy want to play 2-3 games in a night. It's cool to have that like kind of more just loose narrative experience that can really add to the flavor of what you're doing for sure.
Yeah, no, I like the names and the little, like you said, the little blurb, the why you're here kind of thing. It was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Cody, did you have any favorites of these that like were, or which ones do you? Yeah, we'll start there. What are some of your favorite ones to either play or to design?
8 points, I think, is probably the best story out of these.
Yeah, that's the correct answer.
Yep. Something worth mentioning is that Mike is like at the very least a sounding board for all my ideas, and sometimes these ideas are just his. So if you look at the pack, the first mission is 8 points. The second mission is Stand and Fight. Stand and Fight was originally 8 points, and because I thought about Dan once referred to a mission as pure Warcry, and I said, I want to make a mission that is pure Warcry. To me, that's first edition. That's the 8 points. But you can't put 8 points on a map. That's just silly. So I made a mission with a certain number of objectives, and the gimmick was if you played a perfect game, you scored 8 points.
I don't think I knew that about that one. That's really neat. I didn't realize that was like the shtick for it.
Yeah, it is. It worked out. I think the scoring did change a little bit, so it's now no longer 8 points on that mission.
The elusive 9th point has been discovered.
Right.
Who can it be?
But that's the thing is it was very easy to miss, and Mike was kind of like, why is this mission called 8 points, and why aren't there 8 points on the battlefield? So you pushed me to do that, and sort of started as a meme, and then ended up being pretty fun. It is one that has evolved a lot. So the way that one works is you score for controlling the objectives, and then if you have the highest kill tally, you double your points. We discovered that can snowball pretty hard. It snowballs even harder if there's an extra drill master on the battlefield, we learned.
Oh, boy.
So we did adjust it, or I adjusted it to be based off some feedback. We played it at Mad Cry. Adjusted it to, instead of be 1 point per objective, it's the control 1, control 2, control more. So that kind of caps. Even if you're doubling, you're only getting max 6 points on that mission per round. So yeah, that's one of the better stories, and that kind of gives you an idea of how these are designed. I throw some ideas together, I show them to people, I get feedback. It is not just me.
And that's how you like good game development works too, right? Like if you're like trying to come up with missions, because like I think a lot of these are tied to like missions that like you play, right? Like, and there's a lot of familiar language in it. It's not like, this is some completely alien pack where like you read it and you're like, what is he even talking about? What is a a tree hugger? I've never seen one of those in a game before. You're not making up terms. It's unique ways to like throw a lot of objectives and like the mechanics that exist within normal missions, but just using them in an interesting and new way. And so I think, getting that feedback from lots of people and that collaboration is cool because like it just develops. And yeah, I agree. It's been really fun to watch like how you've changed them and stuff like that too. Because there's been I remember the very first pack that you sent to me was like Christmas time in 23, maybe
something like that, probably
around there.
That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Yep. And it's cool to like look back and just find
so
how
I think
much
that would have been like
iterating.
the original 6 we had played in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I guess just like 2 others to call out. Extraction is one of the first ones I made, and that's one that some people have played thanks to Salty C. Originally sharing it in a pack he gave to a bunch of TOs of like fun community missions, and then he put it in his own pack. And another example of like he did help me touch up the deployment on this one and make the mission a little more dynamic. But that's a kind of a fun one that did start with an idea of trying to get buried treasure out of the ground, and the mechanics came from there. And then another one, I guess we'll mention Capture the Flag too. Capture the Flag is one where a couple of people were all like, how do we make Capture the Flag work? And a lot of us have thrown ideas around. And then it turns out Games Workshop just made a mission that is essentially Capture the Flag. And it just takes a little bit of work to make it feel a little more symmetrical. You put it on a static deployment map. And that is one that I got a ton of help testing that one from our friend Darren. And then just a lot of feedback from him and Mike as that came together. And then the last one I wanted to call out is Domination, which is you put an objective in the center, and then you nominate 2 pieces of terrain, and you're fighting over the terrain. And you control the terrain by having people within an inch of it, but they count as 2 fighters if they're on top. And that was just like a fun twist of it feels a little more thematic than fighting over a point. And fighting over terrain is fun. Climbing stuff in Warcry is fun. You don't always get to do it. But this mission also doesn't make you feel like an idiot for playing a horse. It gives you, you can be close to the objective and still play the game.
Right.
So those are probably some of my favorites.
The dynamism that gives too, right? Because like there's so much different terrain that exists. There's so many different things that you can climb, different ways to climb it, and it looks different. So it's really cool to have something that's like, you're probably never going to play the same 2 games, even if there's just like slight variations in terrain. And I think I like that there's not like instructions on how to do it. It's like, obviously you probably want it to be relatively symmetrical when you're laying it out, but that's typical. Mission packs. These are match play ready, right? For all of these.
Right.
And so you want to kind of abide the normal, either do the, I'll never forget Eric, Dogs of Warcry Eric, not Dogs of Warcry adjacent Eric, who we play with currently all the time, talked about how when there's a piece of cake left at his house, he lets one of his kids gets to cut it and the other one gets to choose. And that's the same rule that they have for like the Warcry. Like, all right, if one person wants to put together a cool board, the other person gets to choose deployments and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is a great mission to like, use that rule for it so you can do some really funky stuff and play with, play with your little tiny cookie.
Right.
Your bite-sized terrain.
That is a fun thing about some of these missions and just kind of Warcry in general again. And back to kind of encouraging people to either make their own missions or play with these ones. Like Extraction is a 3 objective mission, and it plays so different if you make it a 4 objective or a 5 objective mission. And you can do that with like any of these missions, any of the Games Workshop missions, or any other community mission. It's just really fun to play around with them, see how it changes, and I think you'd kind of be surprised at how just changing a handful of things really makes the mission feel different.
Yeah, I like the power struggle one because you get points by killing the most. You get points. There's treasure and there's an objective, so you got 3 different things within the same mission. Makes it really interesting.
And another fun thing that happens is there's a lot of parallel development in the Warcry community. Where about a week before I put this out, there was a tournament somewhere in Northern Europe, I believe, that used a mission that is almost exactly identical to Power Struggle. So great minds think alike. There's a lot of people out there making stuff too.
Exactly. That's why we do these things. We're sharing ideas, improving upon things, making new and crazy things, and
for sure.
That's awesome.
One of my
How about you, Mike?
one of the things that like I think really helps, and I think you and I talked about this a while back, and I see you've got it in all of the missions here, and I try to do it for the Magcry missions too. But one of the things, especially when Ferocious Gnarlwood 2, that pack came out, it was so abstracted for trying to read, like, what you read it and you're like, what am I supposed to do though? Right? You're going, it's just like, and there's a catch up mechanic. It's like somebody's like elevator pitch for this crazy idea. They got 30 seconds. They got to blurb it all out. And you're like, I got no idea what you're talking about, man. I'm excited, but I don't know what's happening. And so I think, you and I kind of talked about different ways to like, I find a way to make it more clear. And you've got in these, I'm just looking at Power Struggle, for example, there's the explicit layouts for what each scoring objective is, right? So in Power Struggle, we've got takedown, just a very clear idea about, using familiar language for taking down fighters. Okay, if I read takedown, there's an aspect of this I immediately know I should be taking down fighters in some capacity, right? Fighting's going to matter in this mission. Control, usually controlling objectives. Okay, I'm probably going to be controlling objectives on this one. Carry, probably carrying treasure, right? So,
Right.
And it's just like laying them out so clearly like that. I think just it helps. Like most of the time, once you've played these missions once or twice, you get it, and it's like, all right, maybe I need to like read some tiny little aspect of it, but like I know what's going on, and I think this just does a really nice job of like streamlining it so that people can like understand it much more quickly. Because, the worst thing that happens in missions is somebody sets it up and they go to play it and they think they know what the mission's about, and then they go after that thing and then they lose by a ton because the other person did the other thing, which was secretly the correct thing to do for more points the whole time. And then they go, but I had such a perfect strategy around the thing that I thought was the best thing to do, and they just had a slight misreading, and it's a negative experience. You don't want people to have that just because of a really finicky thing that really from a design and development standpoint, like, is completely avoidable. And I think this
right.
circumnavigates that possibility a lot.
Yeah, it's really easy to accidentally mislead people. If you call something a secondary and it's worth just as many or more points than the primary objective, people are going to assume maybe it's not. It's also really easy to misread something. The number of times I've played a mission I made and read it wrong. We're playing a game with our buddy Avery. I believe it was an earlier version of Bounty Hunters, and completely forgot that a marked fighter dies if they're near the edge of the board, which is a very common rule. And I it's
also a very commonly forgotten rule. There's been a lot of
I'm playing this game with Avery. I put myself in the position where it's pretty clear I'm going to win. And then at the end of the round, he goes, "Oh, your gore is going to take damage." And I'm like, "I wrote the mission. I'd remember if that was in there." And I look in the mission, and sure enough, it is. And I immediately lose the lead I just built up.
Was that Cody the RTFP, right?
Read the pack. Right? Yes. Reading the mission explains the mission for sure.
I had a counter experience to that where I knew that there was some aspect of killing on board edges when I was playing somebody on TTS. It was Toast, actually, quite a while ago. And I was tired and hungover when I was having my mission against him. And I thought I'd made this like big brain play where I was like, sweet, he's got like a brute, like an Iron Jaws brute that I've pinned into the side of the board and he can't get out of the kill zone. And then I forgot that I picked his other model that wasn't in a kill zone that would have died instantly.
Oh, no.
And I was like, all right, sweet, he dies. He goes, no. And I was like, why not? Because you picked the other guy. All right, cool. Just a fun anecdote about what a goofball I can be.
So Mike, you mentioned 8 points was one of your favorites. Do you have any other favorites?
Let me run through. I mean, I'm definitely biased to the ones that I've helped develop more, just because it's like the rotating quarters mechanic was something that like Cody and I kind of pushed each other in, right? Like it was an idea that Cody presented to me in an old format in the first pack, and I read it, and because do you remember what it was, Cody? How you actually had it worded before?
I don't remember. I do explicitly remember that the way quarters rotate was like verbatim the idea you gave to me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was like something where you had it written out, and then like I'd been working on I've made one mission. It's been completely independent, but like I developed like the whole thing that I looked at like one of the kill team books, and I saw like, hey, this is really cool. They have like 1, 2, 3, 4 points of interest across the board, and it moves between them across the game. And I was like, that's really cool, but it's really hard to do symmetrically with Warcry deployment. So yeah, figured out like the rotational piece of it. And I just like the way that like you've used that in different ways too, Cody. Like it's something that like, and I think Dan's used it in his packs as well, right? It's a mechanic that, we all kind of like figured out and like ended up using in it works so well in so many different capacities, right? The creativeness that you can use with it makes missions feel so different. It fixed quarters missions, right? Like,
Yeah,
right.
For a long time, quarters is just so
it's
hard to deal anything with.
right.
You're like, all right, I stand in an edge of the board, but having one of them matter more and having a mechanic that makes the rotation have match play capacity, right? Like where it feels fair to both sides, where you don't have that turn, Josh, where it's like, all right, two activations, we're done. It doesn't matter, right? Like, you want to avoid that because you came to play the game and when you don't get to play the game, it's a bummer.
Right.
Yeah,
And if
I
you're
think
sitting
we've
on
all
quarters,
played,
then you're not engaging. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. We've all played a game of ley lines where one person gets to pick which objective activates every time, and it feels like the other person's barely playing the game. So that may have been how it originally worked. Was that the one person picked the quarter and the direction, and yeah, Mike came up with the idea that what is it? The person who wins picks the quarter, and the person who lost gets to pick the direction it rotates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just it gives you relatively even. Exactly. Yeah, it's relatively even, right? Like you both get a chance to have a say in it, and nobody gets completely screwed unless they botch their actual play, right? So
it makes it feel like the game doesn't hinge on initiative, which is what
exactly. Exactly. It's a dice game, yes, but the further you can obfuscate how much the dice impact the game makes it feel like you have agency in the game, and feeling like you have agency is one of the most important parts of it because, again, when you look at it, any game of Warcry, you go back, you can figure out how you lost. Sometimes it is because the dice just decided, that's what happened.
Yep.
Pete and I, the 2 times we've ever played in tournaments, right? Adepticon last year, he had terrible dice. My dice were on fire. It made a non-game. Adepticon this year, it was like this crazy matchup where I should have just been able to shoot him off the board. I didn't roll any good dice, and he was like, I guess I just survived. So it's like it can swing so massively, but you don't like when you can set it up so it doesn't feel like a single roll until end of the game is great. If a single game comes down to one roll, you're just like, oh, adrenaline, all the dopamine spikes and stuff like that. But like when it comes down to the initiative roll in turn 2, and you can just draw the lines the rest of the game and go, well, this game's over now. That's not interesting for anybody. So
right.
Dodging the initiative problem was definitely helpful.
All right, real quick, we didn't actually say, but where can people find this pack? Well, we'll include a link in the YouTube when we finally get it up, but if they're looking for it, how do they find it, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, the direct link is going to be the easiest way. It's been posted to the Big Community Warcry Discord. I'll have to check with Dan. He had asked to put it on his website, and I was like, no, it's not finished yet. And that was some 6 months ago. And it's finally finished, and I don't know that I've ever gone back to him to get that hosted to a more permanent place. I believe, actually, Off Meta Musings reached out to me to host it somewhere as well. So it may be on his website.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's actually on the TTS simulator. Which is really cool. That's the response to it has been really cool. Of like I said, Off Meta Musings reached out to me to support it, and then also just like completely on his own. Is it Ziggy who runs the
he does most of the TTS. Like he puts things into it these days. He does most of the work on that.
Yeah, he just went ahead and added it like really, really quick. So that was awesome. So yeah, if you're on TTS, it should be on there now, I believe.
Excellent. No, that's perfect. Yeah.
It's also easy enough to just bring it. As soon as you get the link, print it off and keep it around. Bring it to your local ones.
Yeah.
Cody, another one I was going to ask is just random questions about the missions too. For were there any mechanics? Obviously, we talked a lot about the rotation one and stuff like that. But were there any mechanics that you needed or just really struggled with, or had a cool aha moment where you're like, yes, this is exactly, or a points balance or something where you're just like, this is that's what I needed.
What would be something like that? Blood-soaked altars, I think, was a little bit of that. I think this also goes back to when I was trying to get 8 points to work. I was talking, I believe, with you and Darren, and sometimes when you're kind of spitballing these ideas, other ideas will come up that it's like, that's not what I want here, but that's really cool.
Yeah, you
So,
create a completely different mission by accident.
so Darren had mentioned several like different alternative ways to have, killing on an objective doesn't score you a point, but does impact the mission in some way.
Mhm.
So 8 points is if you have more kills, you get double points. I was playing around with one that was Darren's idea of if you get a kill, you can either activate or deactivate an objective. Didn't quite figure out if that's actually fun to do or not. But that landed on Blood-Soaked Altars, which I believe was also one of Darren's ideas of, or at least, at the very least, came from his ideas. That if you get a kill wire on an objective, you now count as 2 fighters, kind of like the dispossessed ability, but it's a little more fun when everybody has access to it.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah, and then Capture the Flag was maybe another one where just trying to figure out how to make that game not be all or nothing, not just be like if you have the fastest fighter, you win, and a little more dynamic. So having the score based on how close you get it back to one of your own objectives. If you're in the same, if you're carrying the flag, if you're within the quarter, and if you're within 3 inches, it just makes it feel a little more dynamic. Because if everybody is just capped at like a total of 2 points, it's very easy to tie or be all or nothing. So having it be a little more dynamic for kind of a sliding scale for how well did you capture that flag.
I like that. Yeah, I know you worked so hard on that one too. Like that was an idea that was like such an early concept that was just like you were just like, I want to make a Capture the Flag mission, and it like didn't exist for so long, and every single one of them just felt like it was that seemed like it it needed the most massaging. So I'm glad that you were able to.
It probably did, yeah. Trying to make it not just be about speed, but not just be about bogging down the objectives and trying to find a mix and make it dynamic. And I hope we got there. It is. I've played it a couple of times, and it's a pretty fun one.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but now I have to. I'm obligated to. So,
so I noticed throughout the missions that some of them, like for determining major victory, minor victory, some of them have a cutoff of 2, some 3, and some 4. Was that like, how did you come up with that? Was that just based on like the total amount of victory points you could get in that particular mission, or was there some other driving force?
I mean, it really comes down to just testing and just trying to feel like, what do these actually play like? And that's where this does get so hard is, how many times do you need to play a mission to thoroughly test it? And if you've got 12 missions, it takes a long time to get in, 36, 48 games of Warcry. So honestly, some of them are probably more tested than others. Capture the Flag being one that I feel like I've played that enough. I'll stand by that mission. Capture the Flag, extraction.
You heard it. Perfect mission. There's no flaws in it. If you find a flaw in that mission, you're playing it wrong.
You're right. But yeah, I tend to start with like how do you define a major win? And to me, that's you got more points most of the turns. So you look at how many points are available each turn. If you were ahead most of the turns, how many points would you be ahead by? And can that be the cutoff for major, minor? And then from there, it's testing it. Does it feel like that's too many or not enough? Like I said, with 8 points originally, it could snowball. We had a game that, you could, in theory, score, 16 points a turn. So, where's the major minor cutoff on that? Is 4 not enough?
Not necessary. It's a mission in chaos, for chaos, by chaos. So
exactly. Yeah.
Let's let the points, fall where they may. I do those. Go ahead.
We played that at Mad Cry, and that was an interesting one where you're looking at the because that was, I believe, you had the tiebreakers was based off of how, like, the differential in victory points.
Yeah, the ratio.
And it'd be like some people were like, "Oh, this guy lost by 3. This guy lost by 42."
Yeah, it'll skew. Yeah. I did that for a local. Like last year for summer, we tried to play. Basically like a competitive league, like round robin style and stuff like that. And I use the same thing, right? Basically the first tie break is the winner score divided by the loser score. I guess, sorry, that's a little different. That's the ratio version of it that I use. But Josh actually ruined that because he pointed out accidentally by completely shutting somebody out of a mission. It's real hard to divide anything by 0. So I was like, I forgot you can sometimes score 0 points in a mission. So
it is amazing how many times you'll think you'll have a good idea when you're homebrewing something, and it just takes a fresh set of eyes to look at it and go, that actually physically is impossible. Don't do that.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
So I noticed for the bounty hunters, you have one of the model caps is 23 wounds. So, like for example, how did you come up with that? Is it just certain models get really powerful after that tended to have 25 wounds or more?
That's actually just trying to keep it consistent with the Games Workshop language and ruling. That's, I believe, the cutoff for blessings. Once you're
Okay,
22 wounds or
gotcha.
less, you're a cheaper blessing. 23 or more, you're a more expensive
Yep,
blessing.
that makes sense.
I think that's
right.
right. Maybe I have that wrong, and it's 22 or more. But
yeah,
yeah,
no, that's good.
the intent is just to try to keep it as consistent as possible, and that goes back to the original goal being to try to make simple missions, getting away from that a little bit, but also being like, what can I do from my end to make this as simple as possible for people? So
Right.
if you have to remember a wounds cut off, can it just be one wounds cut off for everything? And that's the only number you
Yeah.
have to remember. And then if it's bad, we get to say it's Games Workshop's fault. I didn't pick that number.
It's having a built-in excuse is part of the fun.
It is. Yeah. It's not my game. I'm just playing around
down
with
the road. Exactly.
That's right. I'm borrowing this mechanic. It's
Yeah.
already been there.
Oh, you hate it completely, huh? Well, I have an email address. Cody, on the last thing that you were saying too, I was thinking of it, and then I did a good job of not talking over people, and then completely forgot my point. But I was just gonna say one of the things with that, with your question, Josh, about the margins and stuff like that, right? Determining major and minor. That's such like a fun. Like sit down, kids. Here's story time about like how that whole development of where that's come from, right? So like when the Warcry like core rule book says that like we have major minor victories based on how many points the opponent or the winning player's warband had taken down, right? And if it's more than half, I think, then it's a minor victory. If it's less than half,
yeah,
then
like
it's
equalized,
victory.
Right? Yeah.
And so I think the first change of that was from Nova back in 23. I think that was the year. Justin and Jason wanted to basically, they were like, that's all kill dependent, and it like, nobody felt that was completely fair because it's just these like kill warbands and stuff like that. So they came up with this very, very meticulous like layout for it was, so there's 20 points per game, and then you've got a gradient of scores for usually how much you win by. So if you completely blow somebody out, you get 20. If you get absolutely stomped, you get 0. And then there's everything in between based on what you were saying, Cody, right? Like what the actual possible scores and development is and stuff like that. And I think then Dan took that work, put it into his pack, and then it's just all the fine tuning that's gone, and like this kicking forward. It's just really cool to see like how the community builds on each other repeatedly. I know the back and forth between the Madison and the Twin Cities, the coalescence of like the narrative with match play at the same time. How have we done this? Like Dogs of Warcry did something, Dan did something. It's just this ping pong back and forth, and it only makes it every event better, or at least we have new ideas and we can like use them and going forward. It's just it's one of my favorite things about the community. It's just seeing how they inspire each other and are not afraid to borrow and build up on other ideas, because it just, look where it's left us, right? Like this is a super cool pack that like has this really nice delineated area. If you want to use it in a meaningful match play capacity, it has that really tight numbers in there, perfectly tight. I think Cody said there.
Just in the one mission.
To perfection, for sure.
Just classic Warcry history, though, right? Cody, did you have a favorite mission to play out of all of them?
I think I have a least favorite.
Okay,
you mentioned
pick your least favorite child.
Yeah, you mentioned that drawn and quartered kind of fixed quarter missions. So the idea for that one is I was playing. My wife very generously agreed to play some Warcry with me, and we rolled up some core book missions, and we played. I don't remember what their quarter mission is, but it's all or nothing. Do you control the most quarters? And it was so close to being fun, and I was like, I want to make that work. And it seems like I did, and then it showed up in every pack locally for like 6 months, and I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. So the driving factor behind Divide and Conquer was, can I make a second quarters mission so we're not running the same one all the time?
It's motivation, right?
Right. Other than that, I might say domination. I just think interacting with the terrain is like such a fun part of Warcry. That's like when I tried to get into Warhammer and I bounced off the rules of 40k like 3 times, and then I watched a video of how to play Warcry, and it's like your Corvus can climb this building and they can jump off the building, and then they do stuff if they jump off the building. And it felt like the first game that like actually made sense in a 3D space, and not a lot of the rules engage with that. So just try to come up with ways to encourage it, and I think that mission is just a fun way to kind of it's just a very different mission, like a mission where climbing matters suddenly. Just kind of changes what you think about is good in your list and is good in the game.
It takes like the only other mission that I can think of that has like the widespread playability that uses that is Higher Ground, right? Where it's just like you get points for being up high. I think there's obviously like the King of the Hill one. I think that's like a multiplayer one where it's just like whoever's on the tallest point in the mission at the end of the game wins, which is also, for 4 players, that does get wacky, wild, and pretty fun.
Yeah.
There's that Consecrate one too, where you consecrate platforms.
Yep. Yeah, where you kill something on there. Fun story about that one. You guys ran that at Adepticon last year, and part of the rules were if you were a beast, you could not consecrate, so you could get a kill. And my warband was 85% beasts, so so I was doing a lot of standing around and not consecrating. My beasts were marking their territory, if you know what I mean. Sure, it wasn't legally recognized, but they were letting people know they were there. But no, I agree, Cody. That's a really cool way to like bring it forward. And like, I think everybody, if you were going to sell somebody on the concept of Warcry, I think the easiest way to do it is to have a mission set up on just a board set up, right, with cool terrain. Have, gur trees were great for catching people's eyes and sleeves, obviously, but somebody look at it and they go like, oh, sweet, what's that game you're playing? And, the biggest disappointment is when you sit down to play it and then you're like, yeah, pretend the terrain's not there. It's more of just more of an inconvenience than anything else. So to incentivize it and try to make it so that you want to be up there is just a fun. I think everybody can get behind that idea. So I agree with your decision to like it. You have my permission to like it.
It was actually originally my idea for me to like that mission. So
it was what?
It was originally your idea for me to like that mission. That's another one you gave me.
Well, just it wasn't. That's what's crazy, right? Is like I know so many of these things in here, but like we've just worked on them so much for so long that I'm like I don't remember what I've helped with and what I haven't, because like it's just all.
And I do feel bad scrolling through these, and for some of them, I'm like, I'm sure that idea wasn't actually mine. And it might have been you, it might have been Dan, it might have been Darren. There's been so many people that have given feedback on this over in the last year and a half or whatever.
But it's like all together.
But that's the point too, right? It's like you're also not like, hey, you need to pay me $5 if you want to buy this pack. It's like here's a pack. It's not. There's no like yes, it's got your name on it because it's your. What's the word I'm thinking?
Managing it.
You've cultivated them, right? Like you've put these missions together and you've adjusted them in the ways that you feel are necessary. And you have, some of them are explicitly, very much your own ideas and stuff like that nobody else is. Maybe they've helped like, poke and prod a little bit, but it's just about like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that I think would be fun, right? Go have fun with it. It doesn't matter. And, nobody that helps with it, personally, again, I've forgotten what I've helped on, so I don't care. Whatever. I don't need the credit. It's just, I just want people to enjoy the game. And, I think that's, it sounds like that's major philosophy of like what you were trying to do is make cool, fun missions, right?
Right. So, I mean, that's the goal, is to get people to play more Warcry. I love playing Warcry. I need people to play Warcry with. They need games to play if they're playing Warcry.
Right.
So it's once you start playing a lot of Warcry, especially if you're just working out of the core book, those missions only get you so far. And the cards are so fun, but at a certain level, it starts to be you just get a lot of weird missions, and I really started to appreciate just locally in the Twin Cities scene. We tended to do a lot more matched play style missions than cards or stuff like that, and so this was meant as a way to expand that for us. And it just seems like some people are also kind of into that. So giving it out there for anybody who wants to play more of those missions.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome. Well, where can they find you if people have questions? Obviously, the big cry, Warcry
Yeah,
Discord.
Yep.
where
Yeah.
can
What's
they
your
levy
handle
their
there,
complaints? Where's the suggestions box for?
Yeah. I am Toilet Toads on Discord. You can always find me in the Big Cry. I don't post all that much, but I am in there, and you can always ping me, shoot me a message, anything like that. Instagram, I guess, is the other thing I use.
You got some fun stuff on there. Yeah, you post some good
Yeah, a
stuff.
little bit of painting, a little bit of again, a lot less, pre Adepticon there was a little bit of painting on there. What is my Instagram name? It's gonna be Sharfy Sharf. So yeah. Not Toilet Toads on that one, but there you go.
Yeah. Toadpack, Toilet Toads on Discord. Yeah, that'll make it easier. You'll associate the two.
And just for because you're here, Cody, and you've got the platform. Do you want to share? I know we had a big powwow a long time ago in Dan's Discord about all of our stupid usernames. But where did Toilet Toads come from?
So, like all things in my life, this also goes back to Halo 3. I
The genesis of Cody was when Halo 3 was released. There's PH3 and post PH3.
Exactly, yes. Didn't have internet for the longest time in a small town. Finally got it. Super excited to play Xbox Live. Needed to come up with a gamer tag on the spot. Turns out all the good ones are taken.
So you thought.
So I just came up with a random one that I hated for the longest time, and I wanted to change it. And then I listened to a podcast called Kinda Funny. I'm a big fan of them. I'm actually wearing a shirt of theirs right now. And this is back in 2020, COVID. I was between jobs. I had I was supposed to start a new job the day everything went into lockdown, and then I was unemployed for 3 more months. Listening to a lot of podcasts and trying to think of a new gamer tag. They're doing a review of Batman versus Superman that went for like 4 hours or something like that. At some point, they make the joke that the podcast is longer than the movie. Nobody's listening to it. Hey, if you're still listening to this podcast, tweet Toilet Toads at us. And I said, that's funny. And I changed my name on everything to Toilet Toads. And it's been that for 5 years now.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That's so fun.
So once again, it is taking somebody else's work and bringing it
You're upcycling it. Yeah, you're
right.
putting it on the shoulders of giants, right? That's the scientific principle.
Yes, there we go. I like it.
You're bringing that idea into a brand new space where nobody could have. They could have not known when they made that joke 4 hours into a podcast about a movie.
Somebody heard it.
Not only that they heard it, but it would be brought forward into the community that is Warcry with its pack, great pack named after it.
Right. That's awesome. Well, did you guys have any other thoughts or anything else you wanted to talk about for the pack?
I think, Cody, one of the things that you told me previously about it, I think is worth mentioning about the pack in general too, is that kind of one of the reasons that you wanted to, or one of the design principles for it was that it was just like a good pick up and play pack, right? Like something that, like, again, you just, hey, we got a bunch of people getting together, or 2 people getting together, right? We decided we had time for Warcry. We've played a lot of missions. We don't want to have a bad time by getting, we want to make sure the classic dad hobby moment, right? Where it's just like, all right, I've only got a limited amount of time, and I want to make sure that I can, optimize that time by having as much fun as I can. And, if you want to get a mission that it's like, I want a little bit of crunch and I don't want to accidentally get a super short one. All of these missions should be pretty good for relatively, good matchups and fun missions from a, like, participation
tactical
in all aspects of it, right? And like giving you different challenges. And I think that was a really cool way to like view it and approach it too, because it's like you want to make something, it sounded like, that was pretty versatile and could appeal to a lot of different builds, right? Because it's like this pack, yes, there's going to be some the classic worker, right? When you can have either 3 or 15 models and anything in between, the matchups are going to be so variable. But like the way that you can approach this pack is that like everything's kind of got a shot for the most part if you're playing a couple of the missions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of approaching that approachability from every angle of like, my hope is that if we have a new player showing up on a Thursday, I can roll a mission out of this pack and it'll be approachable enough for a new player. But then if you put 4 of these together in a pack, there's stuff there to dissect and chew on. And kind of like you said, different warbands are going to work better. doing the best to make these somewhat balanced, but also part of, again, just the fun of Warcry, and the way you design a pack is maybe one mission skews a little the other way, and the other mission skews in a different direction. So
Right.
your smash lists are going to be good on this one, but they're going to be less good on this one.
Right.
So yeah, trying to kind of just make it very approachable in terms of like who can play these missions and what you can play on these missions would be the ideal.
Excellent. No,
So-
yeah, thanks for. Yeah, go ahead.
When's Toadpack 3 coming? We got 6, we got 12. I'm guessing the next one's 24, and then
Right, yeah, it's gonna double in size every time. So,
all
yeah,
new. I
we
heard,
gotta-
too, right? All completely new revolution.
right, yep, all new
both
ideas.
fixed and revolution.
Four
as
deployment
Warcry
zones
at the same
each.
time.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's a part of the fun and the problem of doing this is I've got ideas all the time and only so much time to work on them. So I do have a handful of ideas. I don't know that there's going to be a Toadpack 3. I may just keep kind of adding to this one over time. Where a lot of these missions come from is I'll run an event, I'll come up with a new mission for that event and go, oh, that was pretty good, and I'll test it and refine it and add it to the pack. So maybe this just becomes 16, 18 missions over time and I add to it. But I do have a handful of ideas I want to work on. I'm currently working through trying to make an updated list of cards that is a bunch of community-made missions remixed into a format where you will grab a mission, a deployment, and a twist. So got a rough draft of that. That needs a little bit of refining, and I want to reach out to the community a little more. If you have a mission in Warcry that you really like, how about you post in the comments? Let me know what that mission is, where to find it, and I'll see if it makes sense in this card pack.
Yeah,
see,
there you go.
see if it's worthy. Come be judged in the eyes of Cody.
Exactly, yeah.
Let the
More
toilet
about
toad cast upon you how he feels.
more about trying to make sure it makes sense in a format where there's
For
not a
sure.
fixed deployment for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes that is a hard line to draw of like, does this mission not work or do I just not like it? And is it okay for me to make that call of if it's a little more community oriented, should I be the one making the call on what does and doesn't go in? So
It's an
yeah, we'll
interesting point though, right? Because like some missions are maybe going to be a lot more palatable with a set deployment every time, and some of them are going to feel very, very repetitious if you're playing it from the same loadout every time. So that's an interesting thought.
On the opposite end, I think a good example of this is Dan's Killing Fields mission.
Mhm.
Where
that's his drawn and quartered, where
exactly,
he's so
yes.
sick of it showing up in packs. He's
Yep.
like, stop playing this mission. I know it's good. I don't want to play it again.
But the placement of those treasures is so intentional that that mission would change a ton if you are just kind of randomly throwing down these treasures. And it's a little bit more setup, and that's one of the tricks to trying to make the text fit on cards, trying to limit how many words you're going to put on there. So a mission that says place an objective, then place a treasure on the objective, then you can't move. It's like half the card ends up being...
Right.
Luckily, we know Baz, who's a legend, who has the card creator. We can just ping him, say, "Hey, can we add more words to cards, please?"
Honestly, that is maybe the biggest and most important shout out of this is Baz, who literally some of these missions could not exist without him because I had to go, "Hey, can you let me place more objective markers on a deployment card?" Because Mike and I have this silly idea, and recently I did ask him, and he within an hour. Added the ability to change the font size on the cards so I could fit more words on them.
His just to know his I can't remember, it's Barry Shepard is his website name, and then he also has a YouTube channel where he talks about all kinds of stuff, which is Optimal Game State. And he's just got a very delightful, soothing voice. So even if you don't care about what he's talking about, he's just fun to stick on a playlist and have him get dulcet at you. He rocks though.
Awesome.
Another one of those is great. Someone that is just like, I mean, I use it for almost every Magcry pack that I do too. It's just like, hey, let me just make the mission that I want it to be. When I want to switch those deployments around, all right, you've made a version of this. I need to switch dagger and hammer. I can go in there and just replicate it real quick and completely shift it and make it look professional and good. So no, amazing resource. Awesome dude, awesome resource.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that. That might be really handy. Oh,
man. All right, I'll get you the link, Josh. That's crazy. We'll put it in the show notes too. Yeah.
Saved me a lot of time on this
That's what
the way I always get to it is on Warcry. There's a button to customize a card, and if you click on it, it takes you straight to Baz's website.
Okay, all right.
Edit fighters, edit missions, edit deployments. It's literally like how I've made every mission. So
And it's
Okay.
Zach does it locally. He puts his own. He takes photos of his minis and then he puts it on his fighter cards because he uses a lot of proxies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's super helpful.
Yeah,
too
I've done
when,
that
like,
for the creature cards or whatever,
Okay.
but I didn't realize there was one for deployments
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, all that kind of stuff too.
yeah,
So
there's a
that's
tab at the top of the page to swap through what kind of card you're editing. Yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't done it in a while, but that's awesome. Yeah, okay, perfect. Where Callie's going on, yeah, that's good. That's awesome. All right, well, thank you guys. That was awesome. I'm looking forward to trying out some of these missions myself, especially that 8 points one. That looks pretty wild.
Yeah. It's a fun
You
one.
played it. You played it, Josh. We did. That was in Magcry
with
1.
the 8.
Yeah. It was the
Was it
third
really?
mission. It was. I called it Showdown at High Noon though because it was Western.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
You always
That's
get
right.
different names at Mike's missions.
That's when
Yes.
I steal stuff, I put my own name on it. I don't let people know.
Right.
Well, awesome. Well, we talked about where you could find Cody, and of course, you can reach Mike and I at the mortalrealms.com/Discord, or in the Warcry Discord as well. But thanks for listening. Thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate it,
great. Thanks for having
Cody.
me.
Thanks for sharing the pack and letting us grill you on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Thanks for all the help putting it together. Thanks for playing it. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Midwest side, those ruthless, narratively driven podcast you'll ever turn right. I'll be its fault. We get your boss, dice roll, roll in this one, and solo, no smoke to the dogs of Warcry.